Welcome to Parallel Universe. Today we are talking about Akon. There was a time when Akon's voice was absolutely everywhere. Turn on the radio in the mid-2000s and you couldn't escape his hooks, his melodies, or his unmistakable tone. From emotional anthems to club-shaking hits, Akon didn't just dominate the charts. He helped shape an entire era of pop and hip-hop. Yet today, many fans quietly ask the same question. What really happened to Akon, and why did one of the biggest stars in the world seem to step away from the spotlight? Akon was born Leon de Malathiam on April 16, 1973, in St. Louis, Missouri. But his upbringing was split between the United States and Senegal. Raised in a culturally rich household, he was surrounded by music from an early age, as his father was a jazz percussionist. That exposure gave Akon a deep appreciation for rhythm, melody, and storytelling long before fame entered the picture. However, his path was far from smooth. As a teenager, Akon became involved in crime and eventually served time in prison for auto theft, an experience that would later define both his image and his music. Instead of hiding his past, he leaned into it, turning his mistakes into material that felt raw and honest. After his release, Akon poured himself into music, and in 2004 his debut album Trouble changed everything. Songs like Locked Up and Lonely connected with listeners across the world, blending pain, vulnerability, and catchy hooks in a way few artists had done before. Success came fast, and soon Akon became one of the most in-demand collaborators in the industry. His voice appeared on countless hits, and for a while, it seemed impossible to make a chart-topping song without him. At his peak, Akon wasn't just an artist. He was a brand, a sound, and a global presence. But as the years passed, his focus began to shift. Rather than chasing constant fame, Akon quietly moved behind the scenes, launching record labels and helping develop artists who would go on to become massive stars themselves. While fans assumed he had fallen off, Akon was actually expanding his influence in ways that didn't require the spotlight. In the 2010s, he surprised the world again by announcing ambitious projects aimed at improving infrastructure and access to electricity across parts of Africa, followed by even bolder visions of building futuristic cities. These ideas sparked debate, praise, and skepticism, but they revealed a man thinking far beyond music charts and awards. Akon also became more selective with his releases, choosing to create music on his own timeline rather than feeding the non-stop demands of the industry. Today, Akon's absence from mainstream headlines isn't the result of failure. It's the result of choice. He traded constant visibility for long-term vision, focusing on business, development, and legacy rather than applause. Whether his grand plans fully succeed or not, Akon's story proves that stepping away from fame doesn't always mean disappearing. Sometimes it means redefining success entirely.